it's this empowerment, the pure sense of empowerment that I see. They're just delighted that they can do something themselves. They don't have to rely on people telling them.
Hey, Sonia.
Hi, Bridget, how are you going?
Very well, thank you. I am very excited to be chatting with you today for two reasons. One, because I love what you do. And the second thing is that I think I'm your target audience and I'm really keen to learn something here. So I'm really pleased that you're going to be sharing a bit of what you do with us. Because I think for a lot of women who ride, including me, we love riding, but the mechanical side of things we're maybe not so knowledgeable about. And maybe even it's a little bit intimidating for some of us, especially when you're surrounded by blokes that seem to know exactly what they're doing. So, right off the bat, I wonder if you could recommend the first thing that you would suggest we learn about maintaining our motorcycle.
I think the first thing to learn is to do a pre-ride inspection. That is a basic run through anything you'll find pre-ride inspection lists anywhere and everywhere on the internet. You should have one in your owner's manual if your bike came with an owner's manual, but if you bought a second-hand bike, chances are they didn't. But just running through the very basics before you hop on your bike every single ride can save your life. And that is tyre pressures. The big number one that I see is tyre pressures not being checked before a ride because people don't realise that tyres are impervious and they leak air. They're not they're not waterproof as such. They leak air and it leaks faster than you think it's going to. And you might have 1 week, 28 being the correct tire pressure in both front and back tires. A week later, it'll be 22
Yeah, wow, that quickly.
that quickly. That's why every ride, check your tire pressures. It takes 15 minutes. You just need a little tire pressure gauge. If you want to go one step further, you can have a little compressor at home, run by a battery, plug that onto your tire, keep your tire pressures up to the recommended manufacturer's specification. It will take the wobble out of the front. When you think that wobble's being caused by something else, it's no, most likely going to be your tire pressures out. Then I'd suggest that's a basic first step. Then learn how to look at your little glass window on the side of your motorbike that shows your oil level. That's simple. It's an inspection item. You don't have to actually do anything yet. You're just inspecting to make sure you're safe, make sure your bike's safe enough to ride to begin with. And that should be done between mechanical services. If you're taking your bike to a mechanic for a regular service, check your oil in between services. Don't leave it until you service because things can go wrong. I think the next thing that I think on the pre-ride checklist is the chain. There's a lot of talk about chains. If your bike doesn't have a chain, it's got a belt, great, no maintenance. But most people are owning bikes with chains and they need to be kept clean. And the reason they need to be kept clean is they wear out faster if you don't. If you don't clean your chain regularly, you're going to run into problems a lot sooner than if you just keep it clean. Just keep it clean. That's all I can say there. Dirt, grit, road grime all flies into your chain and causes the O-rings in between the little links to deteriorate very rapidly. And once you've got a deteriorated chain on your bike, you're at risk of the chain breaking, coming off, wrapping around your leg, or
Yeah, okay, that does not sound good.
yes. And it happens. I've seen it happen. So they're the basics. And don't think that you have to do anything. You just have to look. I recommend everybody wash their bike once a week And while they're watching their bikes, they're invariably bonding with the motorcycle, and they're bonding to a point where they can see when something's different. So just learning what your motorcycle normally looks like and then noticing whether something's different.
Yeah, I love that. I'd never thought of that. But that whole bonding process, like, of course, we love our bikes. I've named my bike. It's a boy. His name's Blaze. And, but that whole thing of becoming familiar with kind of every part of your bike so that you notice when something's a little bit different. And like you're saying, you're just looking at this stage. You're not having to fix anything, you're not having to do anything. It's just about noticing.
And you don't wait until you hop on the bike to bond. It does start before that process. And really, for most people, it starts the minute they look at a bike, go, oh, I like that shape or what have you. And that's when the bonding process does begin. But yeah, that's the maintenance side of that bonding starts just by becoming familiar with what your bike looks like.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. That to me sounds really doable. Like there's nothing intimidating about that. That's great. Thank you. So tell me a bit about your story, Sonia. Like how did you fall in love with motorcycles and also how did it lead to starting Riders Lane?
Okay, I didn't fall in love with motorcycles until I was nearly 50. I'd sat on motorbikes, I'd ridden motorbikes, I owned a couple of dirt bikes when I was younger, I had babies, returned to riding later, and that's when I fell in love. And you can't get me off a bike now. I haven't ridden for 2 days and I start to get the shakes, like, I've got to go. And I own multiple bikes, multiple bikes now, different bikes for different riding conditions. And and I do track work as well. Um, I think at that age, for me, returning to riding was a liberating experience. It was a sense of release, of freedom, of, you know, kids are gone, no one, I had independence, and that independence, the motorcycle gave me freedom. I returned to riding with the female riders of Frock, the female riders of Canberra. And because I didn't want to ride with boys, I wanted to ride with women. And that's a group in Canberra that is women of all ages at all different stages of riding. That was a really important decision for me to ride with women. It's something I'm quite passionate about. But that's when I became aware of women not knowing anything about the mechanics of their bikes. I'd had the privilege of having a father who taught me mechanics because he was one. I realise now that's quite a unique situation, particularly for the era. My father was born in 1920, women weren't supposed to be playing with motorbikes. Um, and that's when I got involved in helping women learn about their motorbikes and keeping them safe.
I love that. I just think, oh wow, just how fortunate you were to have a dad like that. That's such a lucky thing, I think.
Yeah, very much
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And so at Writer's Lane, I know you've helped a lot of women and men, but a lot of women learn how to maintain their motorcycle. I wonder what difference do you see in women, like when they first kind of come in the door at the beginning, compared to after they've completed the course with you? What change do you see?
I think the biggest change is an air of self-confidence. It's remarkable. Women walk in feeling quite intimidated, and particularly women who've never used tools of any kind. And it's not only women who fall into that bracket. We have a lot of men come through the workshop who've never used tools either. But it's more likely to be women who haven't even attempted to hammer a nail into a wall or use a screwdriver. An Allen key to do the IKEA furniture might be about as common as you get with women and tools. So we start with tool use, and at the end of the course, after they've applied the knowledge that they've acquired, it's this empowerment, the pure sense of empowerment that I see. They're just delighted that they can do something themselves. They don't have to rely on people telling them, particularly males telling them. And they've got some language around the working parts of a motorcycle that they can use when they're talking to a service mechanic.
Yeah, right. I love that. I love a lot about what you've said there. I love that you start with the very basics because it means that it's learnable. Like it's not going to be this difficult thing. Like you just start at the beginning and then you just go from there. And it's interesting that you say that some blokes are in the same boat. That's really interesting as well. And I love the idea of the language, just having that language. I think personally, I think having that language will give me a lot of self confidence about it. So I can see what you're saying there about women, how they just feel so empowered when they've got that knowledge, they've got the skills, they've got the language, and that independence. It's so interesting when these words keep coming up in all the conversations, isn't it? I love that. I love that so much. And I don't know if this is a really obvious question, but why is it important that we learn this stuff?
I cite two main reasons. And one is if you're riding alone and your bike stops for some reason, you may be able to identify why and fix it, or ring someone and say, this has happened, because you've been able to do a little bit of diagnosis and get on your way again. You're not leaving yourself stranded. And I've seen this happen. And, I ride alone a lot. It might not be highly recommended, but that's what I choose to do. And I have a toolkit with me um, in my tail bag. The other thing is it's about safety. We're very vulnerable on a motorcycle. We've only got two wheels, we've got no protection around us. And if we know we're riding a safe machine, we're going to be a more confident rider. And being a confident rider is being a good rider. And having a safe machine means that there's more chance of you actually getting back home again in one piece, back to your family.
Yeah, which is ultimately the most important thing.
That's right.
Yeah. So, as we're wrapping up, I wonder if you might share maybe another couple of little tips for women who are listening about how they can, I guess, just start on that road of learning about maintaining their bike. Anything you'd like to, just some quick little gems that you might be able to share with us.
Carrying a toolkit with you is a really good thing, or at least buying a few tools, the tools that you need for your bike, because every bike needs different sorts of tools, unfortunately. They're not all standard. That's a really good place to start. And did you know your seat comes off? Some women don't know that. In fact, some men don't know that. You actually, most of the time on sports bikes, particularly, the battery will be under the seat. Learn to have the tools to undo that, take the seat off, have a look at the battery, learn how to test the battery. Often when a bike stops or won't start, it's a battery problem. You just need to clean the terminals, just like you would in a car. But I'm not going to make the assumption that just because you ride a bike, you also drive a car. Just clean the terminals. It's not hard. Get any gunk off them. I think that's one big tip that I can give people. Another is know how much fuel goes into your tank and how far that fuel will take you.
Oh, very important.
So if you're planning a ride and your ride's going to be 300 kilometers before the next fuel stop, is your tank big enough to get you that distance? It's something people don't think about when they buy a motorbike. I've encountered quite a few women who have bought a motorbike because they like the style and they're comfortable on it. And then they go to ride a longer distance than to the shops or to work. And oh, I'm going to have to carry some fuel with me because there's not enough, particularly in Australia where we've got such long distances between fuel stops in some places. I think that's a really critical point that's really easy to solve because you can get fuel bladders to take with you.
Yeah, love that. Because that, I mean, that's a really easy way to prevent something going wrong. Super easy. I love that. Thank you. So great tips. I've already I'm going to go back and re-listen to this and jot down notes, and I'm going to do those things. I'm just really just having someone like you to just say start here and then do this and then this. So you're not wondering of all the things I could be doing. I don't know where to start. Just having someone like you doing what you do just makes it so much easier. So thank you. And if someone is interested in learning more about you and Riders Lane and the courses that you do, how do they find you, Sonia?
Uh, you can come and visit me in the ACT. Our workshop's in Mitchell. We welcome every rider, or online with our website's riderslancanberra.au. Very simple. Or on our social pages, Facebook and Instagram, same, Riders Lane Canberra.
Fantastic. I love it. Wonderful. Thank you again. I really, really appreciate you sharing your knowledge and helping all of us female riders who are not so strong on the maintenance side of things. I think this is going to be really helpful for a lot of people. So thank you, Sonia. I really, really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Bridget. I appreciate it.